Alright, so because I got 4 new books today, and because the way I'm uploading videos is going to be like once per week at least, some exceptions of course, I can do this video now. I don't have to do like, reiterating. Nope, I can just as is. There's no second cut. Technically, it's not a second cut in that case. Got right on with it. First one up is Book 2 of Clementine. I was going to finish it in time to return it with Clementine, the other books you saw a review of, but I didn't, clearly. Yeah, that's about it. But it's because it's a thick book. It's a lot of book, and it's not exactly fast-paced. Like, if this was Robert Kirkman writing it, I definitely would have finished this by now, but this is Tillie Walden. And judging off the first book, this one will take me a good amount of time to read. So I want to make sure I have plenty of time to read it. And with my job, I really don't. I have just enough time to finish what I want to finish, actually. Like, I can only read about half of these, if that. But Clementine, Book 2. Then one of the new books I got, and this is another OGN. First two were OGNs, meaning it's all in one. I read it all at once. Is the graphic novel adaptation of Rogue One. I found this funny that this is a smaller sized book. He'll compare it to this Loki book here. It has smaller sized graphic novel, and also it's also pretty thin too. And I had opened up this book and I saw this, and I was like, "Uh-oh, is this going to be like that Hunger Games book I got way back when, where it's just like character sketches, not character sketches, like character bios and whatever." And for the first 2 pages, that's the case, but then they get the actual comic. I know it's called the graphic novel adaptation, but you never know. Now, it doesn't say who this is written by, which I find very weird. Because why wouldn't you credit the writer? I know it's probably just, the writers of the movie. But technically speaking, I think Gary Whitta wrote this. Let's see. Publisher, editorial design, art, portfolio, business, special thanks, publisher, collection design, editors, cover, paint, cleanup, layout, character, and manuscript. And I saw the credits, so I guess it's technically it's written by Gary Whitta. That's kind of what I picked it up. I got the other movie too. So I do have the movie. I'll be rewatching that too. Now, movie reviews and me showing. I won't show off the movies. That's not what I want to do for this, just in movies, because you can tell what I consider to be like my top priority as far as videos go. It's comics. That's my main interest. So I like to go all out for those videos. For this just in movies, it's just gonna be reviewing them. If I get like a significant amount, I'm like, oh, I got 200 movies at a yard sale for only $200, and yeah, I'll show them off probably. Maybe now be a live stream. Now I did have a movie review, but I hate the way it came out. So it might be a live stream if I can manage it. If I can't, I'll just like print out pictures of the 2 movies and then just be like, here's one movie, here's the other movie. The way I did it was I returned books I returned those 2 Nightwing, those 2 Robin books. I'm doing a post on the Batman manga that I read, and then which I would also have been showing off. I finished that right away, and then into a movie, so I didn't have so much on my account. So it was just 5 items, but it goes a long way even for me checking out so much. So the reason why I checked out so much this time was because this is the last hurrah. This is kind of I'm just getting to my job, so it's going to be a bit slower at first, so I'll have time to manage at least, and I know when my responsibilities are, so it's really just during the day, which is nice, so far at least. But anyways, moving on. So first, I want to say 16 more rereads. I'm not going to include the book that I'll be reading afterwards, and what I mean by that is you'll soon see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yep, first 16 are all rereads out of 22. It's 11 books per day if I can manage it for 22 totals. I get through the stack in 2 days rather than 1 day. Again, if I can manage it. I'm going to try the next 2 days. But anyways, let's get on with it. Loki the Liar. Now, for rereads, they fall... I'm always going to reiterate this. But for rereads, they fall under 3 criteria. The first criteria is giving them a second chance. I didn't really like Loki the Liar the first time I read it. I thought it was just okay. And Dan Waters is a writer that I remember liking. Like, I really like his one-shot on Ocean Master, so much so that I wanted more of just those characters and nothing else. So that's to go to show how good a writer he is. And it also continued a plot line in Jeff Johnson's run, so which I was also excited to see, and to see branched out even more. So that kind of has what to do with it, but still a writer. I remember this for the first time a while back, and I was like, it's not that great. But rereading it to give it a second chance. Then we have something like Martian Manhunter, where I like this enough, but I forgot to catch up and read Volume 2. There's only 2 volumes in this in Rob Williams' Martian Manhunter run. Volume 2, I had to go do different avenues because none of the libraries, interloans, have this book. And I have to go to different avenues to finish the series. But I don't want to go to Kindle and spend, $8.99? It's probably even more expensive than that, honestly. It's DC Comics. They love jacking up the price. Or as I say, jacking off the price. But this one is just to catch up. Sometimes it'll be starting with Batman Tom King, thinking that my library would have all the series, and then they also had Batman Catwoman, which is the follow-up. They did not, but I think he's writing another follow-up yet again, so eventually I'll just chip in and get the omnibus that's coming out very soon here. But I won't get it very soon here. I'll get it once he's done with Batman. And I more mean that that storyline. I know he has a mini series out right now. I know he has a mini series, so I'll be reading very soon here. But I think that was disconnected from his main Batman continuity. I think it was actually out of continuity. But anyways, it's usually the Batman. I want to read all of that, so I'd be playing catch up, reading what I read before, and then getting into what I hadn't read before, which I was able to read a good amount of what I hadn't read before, which is nice. But yes, Martian Manhunter. Then we have something like Planet of the Apes, where I want to review this again. I liked it. It's the every 6-month rule. I like the book enough. The way that my memory works is that it goes in one ear and out the other within 3 to 6 months. Sometimes longer. If you're a preacher, you're longer. But every 6 months on average. Same goes with Gotham City Sirens. I also wanted to read a Paul Dini book, and the number one book I remember really enjoying was Gotham City Sirens. Even though I haven't finished it for the second time, I'm going off what I said the first time. Get the omnibus; it is worth it. And I can say that will not change for sure. Yeah, I'm not predicting the future or anything like that, but I don't think my opinion will change all that much. Even if it does, I'll still go off of what I said the first time and say get the omnibus, and maybe I'll say but, and then say what I thought about it the second time. But again, the first time I read it, it's worth it because it's so damn good and so damn investing that it was worth the price of admission. That's my point, and that's why you should get the omnibus. Was my point. But whether or not I add a but at the end, time will tell. Then we have the other Planet of the Apes book. Now, yeah, there's a third reason. Sometimes it's fourth reason. Sometimes it's well, I mean, I do it with Star Wars sometimes. I'll check out all the Star Wars books I want to when I have one checked out. So it'll be basically May the 4th be with you, which I'm going to try my best to participate in this year. I'm going to try to not, after I read the Star Wars books, I'm done with those, not read them again until May the 4th, because that'll be a significant amount of time between now and then. And honestly, with the way my new job works, my new schedule, it'll probably not be too hard. But anyways, Planet of the Apes, this is the omnibus, this is the Gabriel Hardman and Karina Sora Benchko run, all collected in its omnibus. It doesn't have the best binding. Not the worst, but not the best. I've seen better, but I've seen worse. But both authors are criminally underrated. I definitely would say if you find their stuff in a bargain bin, to buy it right then and there. Especially if it's either Kinski or what I just showed off. Batman Arkham Knight Genesis. This is Peter J. Tomasi. I know I haven't been. I said Paul Dini. The Planet of the Apes book, the first one, this one is David F. Walker. I know the reason why I'm actually saying who the author is because this time around I have at least one book from them from Image Comics, thus I wanted to read their stuff. It's another way of me going all out, also. Even the books I got today technically fall under that criteria. But yes, it was Pierre J. Tomasi's Arkham Knight tie-in comic. I remember really liking it the first time I read it, and like, it was kind of like that, like, library had I got for free, so my expectations weren't anywhere, so I enjoyed it, like that kind of thing. I'll explain more when I actually review it again. Captain Marvel, the Collected Iconic run, Volume 1. Now there are two of them. This is the earliest run, it's the way you start with Collected Iconics run. I remember really liking the first time I read it, and then the second time I read it, I think I liked it even more. Third time may even be a charm. I do think that the Captain Marvel didn't start until after her run. I think it was with Bendis and Civil War 2 that people started not to like the character of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. I almost do want to go back in time, 2014, and watch reviews on this comic and see how people felt, like the overall consensus was, what the overall consensus was for Captain Marvel. Because nowadays I can completely understand the hate. I don't think Brie Larson is a very good actress for Captain Marvel. I've seen her better in other movies, so I honestly, like, today, like, these days, I've kind of changed my worldview of certain actors and actresses, and that whole, like, I still hate celebrity culture, but that whole, like, mindset of, oh, this doctor, you know, that whole thing, and thus, I do want to give Brie Larson the benefit of the doubt and say that it was the directing, because she's really good in The Glass Castle. I remember her being really good in Rum, a movie I will only see once because of how depressing it was. And that was a long time ago that I read it and I watched it. But it's one of those movies I remember back to myself and I was like, Brie Larson was in that when I watched Captain Marvel. So, there you go. Black Canary, the Brennan Fletcher run, Volume 2. Some of these I'm continuing on a series with. Some of them I won't. Like, Journey to Mystery, I'll going back to, I'll be reading Volume 2. Journey to Mystery is just so involved that even if I owned the book and I read it like one issue, like I binge read it, I think even then, and I kept notes, I think even then I'd miss certain details. Or I'd write certain details down and be like, well, did I really mean what I wrote down? It's just so involved. So I'm like, you know what, let's go to Volume 2. But Future's End is an exception, because it's Future's End. I do want to go back to Volume 1. Now it was way back after my birthday. I'd gotten another fat stack of books in the library, well after my birthday. And then I hadn't done that. I hadn't caught up on all those books until now. And in between, it was just like, oh, I finished 5 of these books, so to fill in the gaps, let's get 5 library books. That's usually what it was. But anyways, moving on. That's why I can't say I didn't go to the library at all. I still checked out books, but it wasn't falling into this criteria of all the authors and all the series that I'm on. I think all of them were just like random books. Clobberin' Time. This is Steve Scrosse's 5-issue Fantastic Four / Hulk crossover series, which I remember really liking. It's another every 6-month rule kind of book. Gotham Academy, Black Canary. Nope, didn't show Gotham Academy yet. Black Canary is getting a second chance, but not really because it's Volume 2. Batman Fortress by Gary Whitta. Every 6-month rule. This is such a good book, and I love this book. Damn good book. I know it has that one thing in it, and I still don't like that one thing that's in it, when he's like, oh, these people that are selling TVs, I'm not going to stop them, but I will stop these muggers. It's like, well, they're doing the same thing. They're both crimes. Why not stop them both? And, yeah, that is kind of stupid, and I know that what they're trying to do with that, and the conspiracy theory is 100% based in fact. There's no saying, oh, actually, look at this. No, that's what he was going for. But after that, it gets really good. From what I remember, it's another lowest. Let's call it our own little thing right now. Let's trademark it. It's the Lois Lane Greg Rucka effect, where people get over obsessed about one minor little detail, and a series that's at least 8+ issues. Batman Fortress is 8 issues, an 8-issue miniseries. Lois Lane is 12 issue maxi series, and people completely dropped that series because issue 1, for a good reason, had a huge controversy behind it. But after that, it's almost like Greg Rucka listened to the fans because he didn't have anything like that in the rest of the book. And if there was, maybe I missed it. And even the first issue, like, if you didn't know who they were trying to mock, there's no way of knowing. It's not like they don't say the actual. I don't think they say his actual name. It's another Trump, Orange Man bad kind of thing. Which, yeah, I kind of think it's obnoxious, but it's their opinion. They should respect us for liking Trump. We should respect them for hating Trump. But I do think it gets over. I think it gets carried away, and both sides, honestly. But anyways, moving on, so I don't get canceled. Secret Avengers. This is the A.L. Scott run. They have to read every 6 months. Not even I like it so much. I do like it a lot, but it's like something goes off my brain. It's like, 6 months later, you gotta check out Secret Avengers again, and that's what I do. And I like it even more each time I read it. It's a really damn good run. Criminally underrated too. And you don't have to read the Nick Spencer one that came out before it. There's a few minor, like, this happened in this run of Secret Avengers. This happened in this run. But for the most part, it's you can start there. Preacher Book 1, I just mentioned that. It does break just because of how much I remember about the series. I don't usually do it every 6 months, but every now and then I'll be like, this is my favorite comic of all time. Let's break that rule. That's what I did this time. Because I'm sure there's going to be a lot in this that I remember. I probably, before I read each issue, could tell you the big thing that happens in each issue. Again, before even reading it. You can hand me a random issue of Preacher, and I'd probably, based on the cover, tell me what happened in it. I probably would have to flip through it a little bit, but not too much. But, yet again, reading Preacher. Because yet again, I'll say it yet again, it is my favorite comic of all time. Star Wars by Jason Aaron. I checked out, there's another Star Wars book I got this month, this week, and I want to check out Star Wars, and you'll see it, Darth Vader. Star Wars Resistance is the reason why. So there's 4 Star Wars books total. There's Rogue One, Allegiance, this one, and then the Darth Vader Kieran Gillen one. Also every 6 month rule. Batgirl, Gail Simone, every 6 months, really liked it. It's a damn good run that I think is overhated. But I understand why. But also don't. Like, it's like, yes, you hate it because they took away Batgirl's disability. They said, hey, even though she was Oracle before the New 52 started, and she still is, she still retains that same origin. There's the surgery. She's back normal. I get that. It's kind of a cop-out to get her back behind the cowl, and they could have used any other Batgirl, like Stephanie Brown, whoever the mute one is, the Landry, and it was the Brian Q. Walker, the Brian Walker series, so back in the 2000s, the one that everyone loves, 92. They could have used that Batgirl. I'm pretty sure Cassandra Cain, which probably is, actually Cassandra Cain, too it is. Could use any other Bat. I do actually think Stephanie Brown was once a Batgirl. So they could have done that, but they said, get it. They decided to go to Barbara Gordon yet again, because back to basics, but it's New 52. They're trying to get readers, new and old, under the same umbrella. You gotta have to make some sacrifices. I'm sorry. You still got your classic Oracle books that you remember from your childhood. You can read those, and there's a whole lot of them, too. I would say there's at least 300 total. Like, say, in the Batgirl series, you have the Batman, you have the Batman spin-offs. You got enough. There's no way you've read each and every one, even if you had, there's no way you remember every little detail of every last issue. Even I don't remember that much from Preacher. Like, I couldn't tell you what happened in each action. Like, yes, I could. Like, I couldn't. I couldn't tell you every single detail, but I could tell you, like, little plot points. Like, spoilers for Volume 1. Volume 1, he meets like up with his girlfriend, and he finally tells her why they split up, and then the grandmother comes back, and all that. That. I could tell you that. I could tell you more, but I don't want to spoil it. Even then, it's going to be a bit too much. But anyways, moving on. Darth Vader. But I was trying to say, like, you still can't remember every single last detail of those 300 Batgirl comics. Like, Preacher's only 66 issues. Those Batgirl books, there's probably 300 of them total that have Oracle in it. Yeah, so it's Batman, so it's Nightwing, so it's Batgirl solo series, but you still have those books to read. Anyways, Darth Vader, Kieran Gillen, again, like I said, the every 6 month rule. And the final reread I count, and I'll say what that is in just a second here, and that is Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison. Originally, I was going to start back from the beginning of his run, but then I was like, well, Batman and Robin is just so good, and I really want to read this, and honestly, I know what happened, I know what came before, so let's do it this way. There's a couple things I'm sure I would need to know, but not much. And I've read this run so many times, I know for a fact there's nothing. Then we have the technical, like, so the reason why I got these next 3 was because I had, first of all, I had one that was outstanding along with Rogue One. It took forever to come in. Finally came in today, well, actually yesterday. And I finally came in yesterday. But then I decided to break even, because 3 of these books are 4 issues. And there's only 3 of them, so I'll still be reading around the same amount of books. So I still want to do the fill in the gaps that I've always done, even back before I had a job, which was not too long ago. It was my first official week. So Gotham Academy Volume 1 is a reread, giving a second chance. Then we have the ones I've have not read yet, and that is Josie and the Pussycats by Margaret Bennett, and Deathstroke by Tony S. Daniel. Oh, Gotham Academy is Brendan Fletcher and Becky Cloonan. Both of who I have everything with them for Image. I don't have the Image anthology stuff that Brendan Fletcher did, but I don't count that. I don't. I don't. Actually, I should have said. Okay, so He-Man. I was particularly He-Man books. I was like, you know what? This one has it. It seems steely, so time will tell if I really like this one. But I'll give it I'll give it a shot. Let's go. I always want to read a He-Man book. It's the first He-Man comic that I ever read, and for the first time ever, also. Remember, the rest of these books are books I've read for the first time. I'm reading for the first time, rather. You know what I mean. Harley Quinn and Betty and Veronica, the strangest Harley and Ivy meet Betty and Veronica. The weirdest crossover I've ever seen, but I've heard of, I should say. I've heard of, and it piqued my interest, and Paul Dini is writing it. Let's go. Paul Dini and Harley Quinn, that is a match made in heaven. The aforementioned Star Wars Allegiance series, written by Ethan Sachs. And yes, it's like one of those Road to the Rise of Skywalker books, so it's the sequel trilogy, not the original trilogy. The other Star Wars books, that was that. Rogue One is obviously Rogue One. It's literally an adaptation of the movie. It's like the Rogue One graphic novel adaptation is literally an adaptation of the feature film. Whereas something like Darth Vader and Star Wars take place in between episodes 4 and 5, and that Resistance, when I just showed off, is in between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. I like that they do that. I like they're not like, oh, you never knew this about what happened in Rise of Skywalker. And I want to say, for the most part, and this will be really good, and I understand that some don't like this, but comics-wise, at least, they're like, oh, this minor detail we didn't explain too well. Well, it's explained better here in the graphic novel. I know they did that with some of the novels, because Rise of Skywalker had so many confusing moments, and fans were like, what the hell is this? And the director said, oh yeah, it's a novel. Which I know is kind of lazy. I'm not saying do every single thing. I'm saying like there's like R2D2 comes back and they're like, how did he get out of that mess? And they explain it really quickly, and then the graphic novel shows the story behind it. That's probably the best way they can do that. Anything more, I would say, not the best. Devil's Red Bride. This is by Sebastian Gurner. It's going to be really weird reading this being a mature rated comic book, and the other one I've read by him that's from Image being E for Everyone. Max Ride, Last Flight by James Patterson. No, it's really written by Margaret Bennett. always want to check out a Max Ride book, and I believe this was a series, I could be wrong, where I'd read chapter 2. I don't think it is. I think that's the Jody Hauser series. In fact, I think it actually is. But this is at least the first I need to read, so if I wanted to read the Jody Hauser run on Max Ride, I had to read this first either way. Then last but not least, we have The Waiting Place by Sean Kelly McKeever. Will this be as good as his one-shot material, or will it be as bland as his Outpost Zero? Time will tell. Even time will tell if I still feel the same way I felt about Outpost Zero, because I own the book now. Reading it again. Anyway, I do want to do that. I just thought it was bland. Yeah, why did I purchase a book that I thought was bland and the library had it? Well, that's the way I am. I kind of have been getting a bit, not too much, but a bit carried away with the library had them, now I own them in my personal collection. A lot of it, it's understandable. Like, I got Wayward because it's the last Jim Zub book I needed for Image Comics, last series at least. And then something like Scarry, I like it a lot, and I wanted to check it out again. And that, as I say, is that.